You ever caught a fish? I mean, I hope so. You've been listening to this podcast for 30-something weeks. I'm hoping you caught one. Well, after you catch your fish, how do you clean it? What knife are you using? What gear are you using? What pliers are you using? I guess this week we'll just have to talk to a company that does that. Talking with three superstar anglers that are involved with a company I'm sure you've heard me mention before. So that's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking to SORD Fishing Products. We're going to be talking with Stephen, Joe, and Connor today. Lots of good information coming, so hope you're ready. Get your notebooks out. We're getting after it. This is Finding Demo Surf Fishing. Here we go. All right, new week, new episode. Hope you're doing well wherever you are. Actually, in reality, I hope you're on the beach. Hope you're out there fishing. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, this next episode is definitely going to keep you going, hopefully happy, putting you in a better place wherever you may be. So like I said, we are talking this week with SORD Fishing Products. If you haven't taken a look at them before, where the map turns blue, I believe is the slogan, if I'm not mistaken. If you haven't seen it, you're missing out. So you need to go on to the website, take a look at all the gear they have, because they have more than just blades. Speaking of the blades, though, I will say, it is by far, hands down, and I can say this with confidence, it is the best knife I've used, and I have abused it a few times. And I've been chastised for it, and I've been talked to by it by several people, to include Joe and Connor, actually. The ones Steven didn't get to see it. I didn't tell him. But he's going to find out today, so it's okay. All right, so without further ado, and my jaw jacking here, welcome to the show, SORD team, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Wow, that audio went big. My bad. All right, no, it's good. So I know we're doing this one a little different. Normally we're doing phone. This one's through the computer, so this will be a first, and we're going to make it work out just fine. So we have, like I was saying, we have all three of the team here. Well, there's more to the team, but here's the big three that I see all the time. So we got Steven, who is the brain that created this, the CEO. If is that correct? What title are we using for you nowadays on this?
We just call me maybe the chief master baiter or something like that.
That sounds proper. I like it. That is an appropriate. Is that on the business card? Because if it is, that would just complete the trifecta for me.
So it just gets. You can call me El Presidente.
I like it. That fair and all around. All right, and then we've got Joe. Hello, Joe.
What's up? What's up? How y'all doing?
And Joe, what do you do with the company?
I'm in charge of the. Go ahead.
I don't want to put a label on you because I know your card says one thing, but I know you do more. So what do you got?
So I'm in charge of the wholesale side of things, and so any shops out there, we love getting in local shops, and as long as we can get the blades in there, we tend to get good feedback from all of our shops. So we want to keep on grinding on that and keep on expanding through that way for sure.
Yeah, man. Good stuff right there. And then Mr. Connor, good afternoon to you as well. What do you do with the company?
I work on the event side of things, so just finding local events or just events all along the coast that we go and display all of our products at. That's really where we get our name out. So handling that, and then speaking with a lot of like the affiliates. We've got a lot of affiliates around here that support our products on their YouTube channels and such. So that's also been really great for us.
You're a busy man then. You travel a bit.
We all travel a bit.
Actually, yeah,
that's
you
where
do.
I'm at. That's right.
Yeah, it's never a single. It's normally always the only time I've seen a single was the last tournament, and that was a little like, hey, where's the rest of the guys? But you guys had a bunch of events going on at that time, so normally I do see all three of you or two or three of you together at the time. So that was a little surprise, but it was still good because I love hanging out with you, Connor. So it's all good.
Is that Showdown? Was that when we were set up over in?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that was the first time ever we had two booths going at once. We had one over in Mobile and then another one over here in 38. So
yeah,
that was a great weekend for us.
Yeah, you guys have been growing so well. It's been a lot of fun to see on the social media platform. I know that I was not. I'm gonna have to edit that because my voice. Ugh. I know I wasn't one of the very first. First time I heard about SORD and where I met you, Stephen, was at Blaine's 30A, or Real 30A, one of his events, and that's where I got to meet you face to face. And I know I reached out to you prior to write the article for me to do my review on it on the blade, and you gave me a ton of great feedback and gave me a lot of information. It helped me make the article very, very thorough, which I was shocked at. I didn't expect to get that kind of reception, and still to this day, I'm extremely thankful. But the first time that I used or saw the blades was at a tournament. It was Bay Breeze's tournament, I believe. I think that they had just started carrying them then. And then since then, it's been funny walking into other shops and other people, and I'm like, hey, I know that blade. Hey, I know that blade. Where are you guys getting all your blades from? And it was, oh yeah, we're getting them from the website, or I got it at this tackle shop. It has been super great to see how much you all have grown and into shops now that people can get their hands on these blades at a moment's notice. That's so cool. Thank you guys for doing that.
Yeah,
So let's.
that's all I know here. So Joe takes care of them, and he makes sure he knows how to handle each shop. And he'll go in and talk with the owners and get to know them. And we're really out here to build a relationship with each of them. Because we're not trying to walk into a shop and sell them on something that won't sell, or sell them on something that is just another $30 knife that someone's going to throw away. And we really want to build a relationship in this local community, and that starts with the tackle shop, because that's where the fishing community starts. When you go in and you're shopping at a Half Pitch or an Emerald Coast Outfitters or Emerald Coast Bait and Tackle over in Fort Walton. So those are the places where we just love to shop in and know them personally.
Yeah, you guys definitely have the relationships. I've seen that, especially with Emerald Coast. Josh and Anna have numerous times have mentioned how great having a partnership with you guys is, and they've always had great things to say, and it's been fun seeing other shops starting to grow and get them. So again, I'm psyched. Okay, so my brain tells me this, and you guys can correct me. All three of you are more boat guys than you are surf guys.
Hey, come on now. These two. Yeah, well, when I started surf fishing, it was actually, I went to college at Coastal Carolina University, and it's about 10 miles from Myrtle Beach. And one thing we did, we had this fishing club there that was more better referenced as a redneck fraternity than it was of people who like to fish. So you think about a bunch of jacked up trucks going down to the beach every single Friday to fish off the beach for whatever would bite our hook. And so I got my little first taste of saltwater fishing in college, where the bass fishing was my crack, and then surf fishing was my heroin. So I got into there, and then the rest is history. And ever since we moved down to the Panhandle, it's been all offshore. But I will say this year we more transitioned back into, hey, I want to make this a little more simple, something fun, sit on the beach, throw your rods out, and find a little rip, crack a cold one. It's a whole lot different than spending $6 a gallon blasting 60 miles offshore.
Yeah, especially now, that's for sure. Sorry, I had to make that joke because you still have done something I have not done, and that's my own fault because I haven't got with Blaine. You still did the ladder fishing, and I knew that you were the salt. I know that you did a lot of the surf, but when you did the ladder fishing, and I read your articles, like, dang, that sounds so fun. He beat me to it. I gotta go now. I have to go. So I had to throw the jab in there for the boats because it's been a lot of the posts lately. I'm like, he does more than boats. I promise you, everyone. He's not just a boat guy.
So I try and get my hands in a little bit of everything. And I say each year we create a focus of what are we trying to target this year. And my specific targets this year are going to be token fishing, and then there's a lot of the articles coming out are like small boat wahoo fishing, and that's fishing on boats with single screw engines or single outboards, and trying to stay within 23 miles or so. But I will say, like, SORD itself has built a really good relationship with the fishing or the surf fishing community, and it's prompted me to. We went out and caught a couple doubles of pompano the other day.
That's right.
And I guess it peaks and wanes. You got to put some focuses on, and that's the fish you target that year.
No, I get it, man. I mean, right now is a perfect example of, having to make adjustments. I mean, it's June while we're recording this, and the June grass is here. The worst thing in the world when you're a surf angler. It's like the instant bane of your existence. So you have to change your game. What are you going to do? You going to sit at home? No. That's going to be bad for your soul. So you're going to get in a boat, a kayak. You're maybe going to go inshore. This is the time to change it up. So, yeah, I don't think any of us are. I mean, our fishery is so good. There's no way I think any of us would ever be a one-trick pony. I don't see it.
It's all fun, whether you're in the bay, offshore, or on the beach. So it's, we'll find one somewhere to go. That's for sure.
All right, so here we go for all three of you. What got you into fishing, and where did you start?
Joe, you're up. All right. So what got me into fishing? I actually grew up in Atlanta, Georgia, and I had a little pond by our house, and had a little 10-foot John boat with Minn Kota on it. And around Christmas time, well, after Christmas, everybody would stick their trees out in the driveway, get the trash van to come get them. But me and my buddies, we'd go pick up all the Christmas trees, and we'd go drop them in the lake and make little wrecks in the lake. And then we'd run a 3-4 line spread trolling for bass, and it really got me into it. Like my main thing is offshore fishing, and I've always just dreamed about doing it, and I love doing it, and I've always had that passion for it. But anywhere I could get tied, I love to do it.
Dude, that's like fishing IQ of 3,000 right there. Dude, let's make artificial stuff for them to be at, and let's mark it so we know where it is.
Yeah, we were triangulating. We didn't quite have the money to have a machine on the boat, so we were like, all right, that house right there, off of that fallen tree, and find it out there somewhere, and you'll know it when both rods go off.
Bro, it's still smart. I mean, it's genius. Okay, so we started with that, and that. Go ahead.
I said it was a great time. It definitely pushed me further and further into the rabbit hole, to say.
I can only imagine. Just thinking about it, I'm like, damn it, that's smart. I mean, we can't do it now, but back then, that's brilliant. It's absolute genius. I love it. Okay, so what do we got? Who's going next?
Stephen here. I have a similar story to Joe's, but I grew up in the bayous of Houston, Texas. And if anybody's been to Houston, you've driven along and you've seen this basically glorified drainage ditch where there's certain parts of the drainage ditch where water likes to pool up after rain. And right behind my house, there's this giant bayou, but only about like a 200-yard stretch where you could actually go fishing and it held fish. But any given day, before the cell phones were around, before any kind of like communication for kids, we'd be getting off the bus. We're sitting on the bus with all my buddies, and we say, all right, hey, we're going to meet at the spot. Look at our little like funny watches or whatever we had, and said, hey, in 30 minutes we'll be there. And like, I kid you not, like we'd all jump on our bike, tackle box on one handlebar, the rod is on the other, because you didn't have a backpack or anything at this point, and just riding out there. And all of our friends ended up meeting at the same spot at the same time. And this thing was loaded with bass, catfish, crappie. We even had bowfin in it. And like this place was just, you could throw a little live eye sunfish and rip it as fast as you want through this little drainage ditch, and you'll catch something. but we also, I mean, got a lot of water moccasins too. So that's kind of where I cut my teeth on fishing, and we got to go to the saltwater once a year. And I remember one year Blitz was coming through in Orange Beach, Alabama. It was just a bunch of ladyfish and bluefish coming through, and we were like, my dad hooked one, and it was a treble hook and like just maybe I think it was mirror lure, and he's reeling it in with the rest of the Blitz coming through, and he forgot where the fish was, and it swam between his legs, and the external treble that wasn't hooked up went through his kneecap. And I was like, man, surf fishing is fun. And my dad was jumping off of his leg. And that's kind of where I got my start with saltwater. It was coming around to Orange Beach for family vacation.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a way to get into surf fishing. Okay. Oh, wow. All right. Connor, can you treble hooks? What's up?
I don't have a similar story like that, but I also grew up fishing freshwater. We had a little pond in the subdivision that we lived there for probably like 10 years, and if it wasn't in school, you'd find me like just running around that little pond, like catching frogs, chucking them out, just trying to catch a little bass. I would do I'm not a skilled fly fisherman, but I kind of learned how to fly fish in that pond. And every summer we would take a trip to the Isle of Palms in South Carolina, and that's where I really fell in love with fishing. I mean, I always loved bass fishing, fishing for pike, walleye, all that. Love it. But we started going to the Isle of Palms, and then when I caught like my first redfish from the surf and like caught my first like real saltwater fish, I was just absolutely hooked on it. And you start thinking like, okay, like what's next? What's the next biggest thing I could catch? And then I went through like a crazy shark fishing surf phase where all I wanted to do was catch sharks from the beach. And eventually moved down here and started learning a little bit more about the offshore and fishing in the bay and stuff. But I still love hitting the surf every once in a while and catching some pomps. Steven and I did a little Ike Jime the other day, and that was interesting, very interesting.
Where'd you get your kit?
The Ike Jime Federation.
Nice, dude. Oh, way to go, guys. All right. I've been hearing new ones come up. I heard Ike Jime Federation still has theirs, and I heard that I believe it's AFCO is finally making one. They've made a kit for everybody to get their hands on too.
Yep. Yeah, and we were influenced by you to buy that. So if we can say anything about the Timo podcast, is that he influences for Ike Jime Federation, and he needs more products.
I mean, I might need some more. I'm not saying anything as I'm looking here at too, but I would love to get my hands on more. Did you get how moving gears? I guess we'll talk a little on the boat with this. Have you taken it out on the boats to do it yet?
Not yet. So we tried one time, but it was just a bad day of fishing, and I'm really curious to start trying it on. It's some pelagic. So we got the biggest one that they make, and we want to run that through some blackfin tuna, some mahi. We want to run it through a few, maybe a wahoo, if we can get a nice wahoo and run it through there. Like, I'm really excited to start taking care of my catch a little better, and knowing that like just throwing them on a bunch of hard ice isn't really helping anything at all. And I'll eat fresh for the first couple of days, but it definitely makes a difference once you've taken care of your catch, you've bled it, you've spiked it, and you've run the wire through the spinal cord. So I'm excited to test it out, see what the meat looks like, and see that they call it umami. Is that how you say it?
Umami, the flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Allison from Real Love, she's really explained it to me a few times, and I don't have the best palate. We'll go with that. But I have noticed there is a bit of a different taste by doing Ike Jime versus not, which has been really cool, and that's really cool to hear you guys are doing that. Like, Like, I even feel a little special right now. I don't know why, but I do. I'm like, I have nothing to do with it, but I feel special. So thank you. I think it's great, man.
It is great to see people taking care of the fish. I mean, it means a lot. Means a lot for sure.
Yep, that's all we can do with right.
Once you go and do it, it's like, I gotta try it too. I mean, it's like, it's an interesting thing. So I mean,
well, you guys are catching you guys catch a ton of species. I mean, I've seen a lot of your catches that you throw on the social media. You're catching the big pelagics. You're catching the real. I guess I call them prize fish essentially because I know you guys have a different term, but for me, you're catching these beautiful fish that are really tasty. We know they're good. But to see how like you fillet them with the sword knives at the table, you've shown everybody like, hey, look, the serrated blade, and we will get into this here soon. The serrated blade, it doesn't tear the flesh. It's that misconception. But you guys have shown all the steps with the blades that you're taking care of your catch. You're getting every last bit of that meat off that bone. You're not wasting any fish. And with Ike Jime thrown in there too, and that's just an added piece right there of, yeah, hey, I'm trying to preserve my catch for the best quality meat for myself, my team, my family, without, making this fish suffer and cause, however you want to go with it through that, the uncomfortable death, and let the chemicals all get into the muscle to fiber tissue. But if we're going to keep it, it's better to kill it right away and get it over with. It's like, hey, look, good fight. I win. I'm going to eat you. But I want it to be the best tasting eat I do. So there.
So so Connor and I were out on the beach, and this is the very first time we were trying the Ike Jime, and there was some passerby walking by, watching us stick this rod up the fish, and I'm like looking down at the fish, getting this thing done, and Connor is I hear these words out of his mouth. This is the humane way to do it.
It looks crazy.
I'm like, why is he like? What is he saying that? And I look up, and there's this lady staring at us, and just wondering why are we abusing this fish?
Yeah.
And it's like, but it also sparked a conversation to say, hey, this is better. Even though it doesn't look better.
Yeah.
Definitely looks interesting.
Yeah, shoving a wire right
Not
into
a
the
good
tail
look.
end. No. A wire right into the tail end of a fish as it's flopping around is definitely not a good look. But really, we mean well. Don't worry. There's a big hole in its head from where I spiked its brain. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about that.
Just trying to reiterate to her, for sure.
Well, all right, let's nail a couple of surf fishing ones, and then we're going to dig heavy into the knives. But before we do that... Bait check! Bait check. That's right, folks. It is minute 20. Well, I'm a little early. 23 minutes for your bait check. So it is time to reel that line in, get that bait checked, make sure it's good to go, top it off if you need to top it off, get it all back out there, and continue fishing. So as I said before the bait check, we were going to, let's dig into the fishing stuff, and then we're going to dig heavy into the blades, because that's the good stuff right there. So when it comes to surf fishing, you three all have done it, as you have a plan in store. Let's talk about when you get to the beach. So you get to the beach and you've got everything ready to go. What are you looking for to set your lines in the water to fish?
Well, I usually fish over in like Santa Rosa Beach, and typically I just try to find a dark hole, and then I just set up camp there and stagger the lines one in closer, and when I try to hit in that hole, and normally the pompanos seem to just be swimming in a circle in there, and it's not too hard to get your limit, but some days with this June grass that's in here, it's been pretty tough. Kind of a pain in the butt working around that's for sure.
The year of the gasm. The
right.
year of the gasm, that's what we're calling it.
2022, the year of the gasm.
That's an interesting go. Okay.
Hot take.
Yeah. That's all. Hey, it's staying. You're done. It's staying, man. It's recorded. Thing's still running, man. Okay.
You're gonna love it. I know it.
And I tell you, when I get out to the beach, there's kind of a difference fishing out by the 30A area, the Santa Rosa Beach area that Connor's talking about, but the water is crystal clear, and I would say it is far more clear than you would typically get if you get closer to Orange Beach. But the way our sandbars work here is there's a very deep trough on the first sandbar. So it could be like 5 or 6 feet deep, and then it comes straight back up to 2 or 3 feet, and then it drops back off before it gets to the second sandbar. And I would say I've had a really great day out there when I actually fished within 20 feet of the sand. And I just literally tossed my baits into the little trough. And I think we caught 5 or 6 reds that day. And the trick was we used Boston mackerel for bait.
Oh, wow.
Here offshore. So we're offshore fishermen, and when we go offshore, we'll use these Boston mackerel as chunk baits for tuna. And we're cutting up little chunks, and we're kind of drifting them out, and tunas will come up in their slick and eat them. But what we did that day was a buddy of mine brought out live shrimp. We caught some sand fleas, and we also had the Fishbites. And so he had all his rods lined up at this first trough, I mean, within 20 feet of the beach. And then I showed up with a cooler full of Boston mackerel. And I'm like, hey, like, we might as well put this piece of cut bait on, right? So we put a little, and it's oily. I mean, it's disgustingly oily. And so we tossed that out. And all of a sudden, like, within the first 5 minutes, you get a redfish on. And then my buddy's kind of looking at me like, why is nothing eating my live shrimp? And I'm like, I don't know. And so then I put another bait on, catch it back out, and right into that same trough. So I'm looking for that deep hole. Obviously, we're all looking for the rip that goes out. But there's certain times of the year that, like, they're just running that channel before the rip goes out. And I had my buddy cast over the bar, cast into the rip, and they're just sitting right there. So I try to look for some place where it's kind of ripping out of a deep hole and then going to the rip versus, like, just going straight to the rip and avoiding the rest of the beach. So that's what I'll look for first when I get out on the beach.
Dude. I mean, okay. I'm not going to edit this out. I'm not. I refuse to. You are the first person to talk more about past the cut and past the rip. Someone's going to get mad. But I don't. That is knowledge that people... Oh, man. I was wondering if anyone was ever going to talk about it. Because the common...
Educational podcast,
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason behind this whole podcast. Normally answer is holes, cuts, and rips. Nobody talks about the racetrack that comes with it that you have. If you can get on the trace, if you can get into the runway or the highway, I like to call it that cut, and you target it like that, there's only one way for them to go. They can go over it. They're not gonna. They're gonna follow that contour. Well done to put that in the show, man. Well done. You opened a new can for people.
Everybody's gonna be fishing that first trough, and they're gonna be like, "Why am I catching so many more fish?"
Well,
hey, you got
that and the Boston mackerel, because not a lot of people are coming. I'll catch cut mullet. The majority of the ones that I see, they're used cut mullet, shrimp. Only a few people use crab knuckles, or half a crab. That's the normal bait I've seen. But mackerel, no, not yet. No, I haven't heard anybody using that one. Only on the boats. So nice job, nice ad.
Yeah, the co-op will be sold out of Boston mackerel.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to call Half Hitch and, like, hey, you got that bait? I want it. I need just a little. I'll take one case. Yes, I know how much it is. That's fine. Just we're not going to talk about it. All right. So we've got that one. Joe, you want to throw in anything on this one?
I think Stephen hit it pretty well on the head right there. That'll work.
Touché. Well played. All right, so that's on the setup, and that's how you're fishing on that one. Well, we kind of nailed the next question is what type of bait do you like to use? So that one's check, in, out, and done. All right, good to go. All right, so we're going to just, we've nailed the big ones there. So let's go ahead and dig into the fun stuff then. What is SORD?
Let's go. Let's start from the very, very beginning. Part of SORD is like my personal story as well. And these boys have joined me along on that journey at certain pivotal moments in the company. And so we'll allow them to jump into that when the time does come that they enter the story. But I'll tell you, I graduated from college and I knew that, or let's just say the traditional wisdom is that you're supposed to go the corporate route, and the American dream is to work really hard in corporate America and hope that, like, you know, you grind the ladder, you move up, and you kind of put your own dreams and wishes and passions aside, and like hope one day you retire and you're able to rekindle the football and the golfing and the fishing, and you got to live the rest of 20 years to live your life out. And I took that dream for the first 3 years out of college, and I moved to New York City. And when I moved to New York City, I sold the boat. I chased a dream of money and fame and fortune, and I realized, like, really quickly that I was in the wrong spot. But, you know, life's all about learning about who you are and what you don't like more than it is about what you really do like. But there's a silver lining in this whole 3 years. But when I was up there, I worked for a financial services company. And within the financial services company, there was a guy there that I directly reported to, and he was leaving to create his own company. And because we had a non-compete, I had to go find a new job for at least a temporary amount of time. And it turned out that job was with a startup that got acquired by Walmart. And when Walmart bought them, they learned that they had a very, very passionate fisherman that also really loved business that was working out of their startup office. And they approached me and they said, hey, we want to develop our private label line of fishing products. And what I mean by that is, like, you walk in Walmart today and you go through the camping section, you're going to see a lot of stuff that says Ozark Trail. And within the Ozark Trail line of products, they have pretty much all of sporting goods covered, which is camping, like water bottles, coolers, and any kind of outdoor activity has some, like there's like little folding pocket knives, stuff like that. And but fishing for Walmart is a $1 billion business. And so just fishing alone there is worth a whole lot of money to them. So for them to squeeze more pennies out of the fishing market, the best way to do that was to create a line of tools or products specific for that. And so they found me, and I developed tackle bags and boxes. I developed rods and reels, boat, rope, anchor lines, stuff like that, as well as fishing tools. And I got to go to China for, you know, a whole 2 weeks and see how it all worked. And it was just an incredible experience. But one thing that I could not keep doing was creating products that I knew were going to fail. And that was something that really grinded my gears, because I am a passionate fisherman, but I wasn't developing products for my customer. I was developing products for somebody else. And so I realized very quickly, like, hey, what's the place? Like, where should we start? And how do we move through this? And so what I did was I left Walmart, and I actually went back to work for the guy that had the non-compete, and I helped him start a business. But I realized, you know what? I had this longing to start my own thing. And most people would tell you I hate authority. So I had problems with coaches, parents, friends' parents. Like authority was not something I enjoyed when I was growing up. And I questioned people a lot. I just asked a lot of questions. And so turns out people in authority don't like to be asked questions. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and start my own business. And so as I started thinking about what would that look like, I went through a lot of iterations of like, okay, what can make me the most money? I can get into a technology startup. Or, okay, what can make me the most famous? I can do something that like saves the world and helps people out with disabilities. But I was like, what am I going to be most passionate about? And I'm like, fishing. And so I had just finished up with some stuff in New York, and it was a company that was creating media and content for the hunting industry. And then I was like, you know what, I can do that in the fishing industry. And I started SORD to bring to life something that was built for people we call the crazy ones. So when you think about someone who's crazy about fishing specifically, it's like they abuse everything. And they abuse whether it's their body, whether it's sitting in the sun, they abuse their rods, their reels. You know, they get pissed off and they slap the water, and there's nothing that doesn't get abused. And I realized there's kind of like a niche here of like everything that SORD makes is made with that in mind, and then we work backwards. So if it has the SORD brand on it, you can specifically know that this is made for abuse. And we just decided that we would start off with fillet knives, mainly because it was a very simple product to design, and I already knew what was lacking in a lot of fillet knives because I had done some development through Walmart. And I already had the idea in my head of like, what specifically do I want to create? And it was nothing like I did at Walmart. It was more of like I had the ideas in my head already. So I told myself, if I can sell one fillet knife really well, then I've got a business. And so we launched the first product in April of 2020, which is also known as COVID lockdown. And so I was just like, well, this is comical almost, but it was a silver lining in there because I was able to sell almost $50,000 worth of knives in 1 year and by myself. And I'm like, I got something here. And so then the business evolved and we continued to grow. We added some more knives to our line. And then one fateful spring, a buddy of mine invited me to go fishing on his boat. And it just so happened that Mr. Joe was there. And Joe, you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So we went sword fishing, and we went on a mutual friend of ours boat. And at that point, me and Steven had met in passing a few times. We had seen each other at the docks before, and kind of knew of each other. weren't close though. And then when you spend an overnight trip on a boat with somebody, you really get to know them for sure. So we ended up connecting really, really well offshore and communicated really well and started growing from there. And I went back to school, and Steven gave me a call while I was actually at school. And he was like, "Hey, I'm going to have a job opening this summer. Would you want to be a part of SORD?" And I hopped all over it. I was commercial crabbing the summer before, so I'm sure y'all can understand why I wanted to get off the crab boat. So started working with Steven that summer, and it's just been a blessing ever since.
Yeah. So we had. So Joe, specifically, there's something we do in SORD for all of you guys listening that want a job, like either with SORD or with another company, that you got to know why you exist, and then you got to hire people who also believe in your why. So you gotta look at this as like, if SORD, the prime reason for our existence is to build a company for people who are crazy about fishing. Like, we're only gonna hire people who are crazy about fishing. And something with Joe that immediately struck out was that he had this passion to learn, and he truly wanted to dive into what we call the details. Like, it wasn't like sit back on the boat and let me go play on my iPad, and then like when you hook the fish, let me know. He was right there looking over the shoulders, like, hey, how do you use that word? Like, why is this different than that? Like, why do you do something in specific ways? So I knew, like, immediately, I was like, I want this guy to start working for me. And I was like, I need him on the team. Like, I need people who believe the same thing that we believe. And then I kind of like, we went through that whole summer. It was an incredible summer last summer. And I was working out at a gym that fall after Joe went back to college. And I've been working out at the gym for a while. And I was wearing the new, if you've probably seen some pictures, but it's a blue camo hoodie. And we're actually coming out with them this fall. So I was wearing this camo hoodie, and then I actually ran into Connor, who was working at the gym. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I saw Steven wearing the hoodie, and I didn't know him at all. I just I walked up to him, and I was like, man, that's like a really cool hoodie, you know? And he just told me about the website, and I didn't know he owned the company or anything. I just saw the big SORD F-250 always parked in the parking lot, and I went on the website and bought one of the original Solar Performance shirts, and I loved it. And then fast forward about another year, I saw a little job posting on Facebook, I think, and I was like, holy crap, like, I got to do this. You know, I was at like a pivotal point where it's like, man, I really got to find a new job. You know, what am I going to do? And it was really just a blessing that it popped up, and it was good that I kind of knew Steven prior and met him at the office, and the rest was history. So
yeah, Connor came into the office, and let's just say that when he applied for the job, I kind of knew who he was. He had been working at a local little salad place. And I knew he was like very, very, very good with people, and just a people person, knows everybody. And I would say I didn't know how passionate he was about fishing until like he came to the office, and he's like, man, like, this would be the dream. And that's where he has that passion, that raw like feeling that, you know, only the people who really understand it will get it. And it's the best way I can describe it is like, it's not a hobby, it's more than that. It's part of who we are. It's like, it's in our blood. And like, you either got it or you don't. And like, every time you meet somebody, you can immediately sense like, okay, he's got it. And that's the first thing, you know, when Connor came in the office, I'm like, no, he's definitely got it. And so I hired him on. He came on in March of 2022, so just a few months ago, to handle all the event side of the business, which is great because he loves the whole people side of things, and then also the affiliates, because, you know, someone talks to him and becomes friends with them, and he loves these guys. Like, you know, he goes to bat for them with me. Sometimes I'm like, no. That's not, then we don't need them. And then Connor's like, no, dude, he's awesome. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And you convinced me. And he's the people's person. He's our like, just main guy to go to for anybody that's like, wants to be somehow involved with SORD. And now we're here in the middle of the summer having a crazy first part of the year. And we're moving through, just blazing a new path, and hopefully we'll have some incredible surf fishing products coming out next year. But I cannot spill the beans on what those are, but there's going to be some really cool stuff that's actually geared specifically for surf fishing, and our real hope is to get up there with all the giant brands of the industry, all the stalwarts, the people you see hanging from the tackle shop. But for right now, it's the three of us, and with a dream of getting there. And from what we've seen, we're all doing the right thing.
Yeah, you're just getting into the surf game. Whatever, dude. You've been very involved with the surf one. I mean, you got the blades. You have the new pliers, which we'll throw in here in the discussion in a minute. I mean, you are all-encompassing. Oh, Connor, what's up? I see the hand movement like you wanted to say, hold on, I got something. You okay?
No. There might be one person out there that knows what's on the horizon, but for everyone listening, they'll just have to think about it, try and figure out which person it is.
I already think I know. But it's all good. It's all good.
He's a legend.
Let me spool. Let me just spin my tires. It's what I do. I'm really good at just, constantly doing that. Well, I mean, Stephen, you got a hell of a team. I mean, and the way you describe your team is, I think, the way that anybody on a team would want to be talked about or be associated with. That alone right there is enough to drive somebody to be like, I need that in my life. And you're right. I mean, we are a little bit of a crazy bunch, just a smidge. So that's always good. Now, you brought up something, and again, it's not in our question. Yeah, but you brought it up. Are you hiring still, or I thought I haven't seen any job postings, but I haven't overly looked. I remember the last ones I saw were on Facebook. Are you hiring again?
So we're not hiring anything specifically right now. So I'll actually get through this summertime with the team that we have. And then depending on what the company dictates when the summer ends, we'll see where we're at. And then we're most likely going to start hiring again in like when we hired Connor in March of 2023. And that may be specifically in the social media realm, somebody that's able to talk the talk in the voice of SORD. And if you look on social media now, it's the voice of Steven. And it's hard to be replicated, but we're going to try to find somebody that's passionate enough and can replicate the voice of SORD and take over that side of the business. And we'll probably also hire within operations, somebody that's going to be handling the day-to-day tedious stuff, inventory, whether it's shipment, fulfillment, and website stuff. That's something we'll also be hiring for. It'll most likely be two separate people.
It's great, man. Growth is always a good thing, and it sounds like you got a heck of a plan on there, and you've seen the playbook already, so you're already handling it just fine. So well done, sir. Well done indeed. So we talked about the knives, but the one thing that I know that people are going to ask, and I've been asked this, and I don't have a good answer for it because that's just not my forte. I'm not, I'm not in that industry. What sets these blades above or apart from other blades?
All right. So I'd say I think the best way to put this is just giving a rundown of our blades. So we do all of our blades out of a carbon steel. So it's a lot stronger than stainless. It holds an edge a lot better than stainless. And then we coat that in a Teflon and a titanium so that it won't rust. And actually that Teflon helps the blade slide through the meat a little bit easier. And then we do our handles, which is the highlight of our knife. I'd have to say that G10 handle, it's pretty cool. So G10, it's the same thing that they use in gun grips. So when it gets a little bit wet, it sticks in your hand real nice. And then a big staple for us is that lifetime warranty as well. Backing all of our products with a lifetime warranty. If you get any nick, ding, anything in the blade that you don't like, we try to make it as easy as possible for y'all to reach out to us and just tell us what happened, send us a picture of the blade, let us know what happened, and we'll get you another blade. No questions asked.
We had a moment here where just yesterday we had somebody who sent us a text message and a few pictures, and the text message was, "Hey, I was cleaning a fish and the fish kicked," and I'm guessing what he means by a fish kicked, he was cleaning a non-Ike Jime fish. So,
Yeah, sounds like
definitely did not just, but he kicked and it hit the blade out of his hand, and the blade landed tipped down on something hard, whether that was a dock or concrete or whatever, but actually it did bend the tip. And I was like, you know what? It in my world, I don't even need to know that much. All I need to know is that, hey, the tip bent and something is not satisfactory, and we'll send you a brand new blade. There's not really a question asked. There is nothing that we will fault you for. And we even had another guy who looked like he ran over the knife with a backhoe. And it turned the knife into a U-shape, kind of like a horseshoe. And he probably played a few horseshoes in his backyard with it before he sent me the picture. But we didn't ask any questions at the same moment, and we sent him a new knife as well. So anything and everything that doesn't perform to an absolute abused expectation, like, we will cover it, no questions asked.
And your blade is strong, so it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to mess those up. And I've tried. I mean, I've nicked mine. I got my nicks polished out. I after, here's my chastise moment, after using the run-through sharpeners, from Amazon, because that's what you use. Duh. That's what you use to sharpen a knife. That's what everyone uses. And then after a couple of text messages with Steven of, why are you using that, and why haven't you gotten something better? Oh, okay. And then I went and got an electric sharpener and realized, holy crap, I suck at this. I know the new one that you guys recommend, Perdido Blaine just put a video out about it, that new sharpener. Very, very cool looking device. I think it's smart. I have no idea what it's called. What's the name of it again?
That's the Warthog Sharpener.
And that is not associated with SORD, but SORD does endorse the Warthog Sharpener. And you should, if I can get my act together, we'll get some up on the website.
There you go. Constant self-improvement right there. Way to go. You're setting the bar for the day. You're like, I know what I need to do. There you go. So I nicked mine. And I believe I nicked mine after a bonnet head. I posted a video of a night. I probably had my blade maybe 2-3 months. It hadn't been through too many fish. And Abby and I caught our first bonnet head shark, and I was cleaning it, and the knife is just sliding right through this shark's skin like it's nothing. And I'm in just utter shock, because we all know shark's skin it's sandpaper. It is tough. It is guaranteed it is going to screw your blade up. I played that whole fish, no problem. One shot, didn't need to sharpen it at all. Didn't even need to hone it, didn't need to do anything. It was not until I finally hit a whiting and I was basically smudging it down of just with weight trying to cut it because the blade had become so dull since I didn't sharpen it. But that was months. It took months for that edge to go away. Well, after I started using the proper sharpener, it's been night and day. That blade still stays sharp no matter what I do to it. I might have to hone it here and there. I don't even need to run it through the rest of them. I run it through the diamond, and it's good to go. But that blade has always held a solid edge and been strong. And when the nicks, ran it through the thing and got the nicks gone, blade's perfect. I have no issues with it. Your handle, I know you told me about that before. I've always thought for some reason it was 3D printed. The way it feels, it's just such a great grip.
No doubt. So essentially what that G10 is it's layered fiberglass, and you can, if you turn our knives sideways, you can truly see the layers on the handle, and it's really cool to see. So it's layered fiberglass that's CNC'd and then laser cut out from there.
Yeah, that's smart. Nicely done on that design. That being said, I didn't even realize the time. My bad. Bait check number 2. It has been 56 minutes. I apologize, everybody. I am late. But that is your next bait check. Make sure you get that fish. Hopefully you caught a couple and you paused this and came back. But if you need to get new bait on there, put it on there. If you haven't caught anything in 56 minutes, please move. Pick a new spot. Change your bait. Do something different, because that has been the whole thing I've talked about this entire podcast, which is you should not be waiting this long in between. Something needs to change, whether it's your distance, your bait, or your spot. All right, back to the show. How did the design come about? I know that you had started talking about it a little bit, Stephen, but how did the actual design of the blade come to fruition?
I would say I cumulatively have used quite a few knives in my life, and when we went fishing offshore, everybody's got a job. So you got a couple people clean the boat, a couple people clean the fish. Well, I was always the guy, 2 knives to choose from. You had one was typically your commercial type of knife with either the white handle or a black handle, and these knives are just very basic, and they, you just grip them and you start ripping. And I felt like there was something that more can be done to those to help them improve. And also, you got another knife on the opposite end of the spectrum, which is the handle was just giant and bulky, and you can really only hold that handle one way, and it's got this bright red grip on it that is just absolutely tedious. And it's named after some guy in West Virginia, but
not that we're saying names. We're not saying names, so yeah.
No. I don't know, but so I really wanted to create a handle that that felt good in your hand. And then one thing that people notice most about it is actually a balanced knife. So in the majority of knives you buy, it's unbalanced. Like you either got all the weight forward towards the tip, or you got all the weight to the back towards the handle. And so for our knife, it's like extremely well balanced in your hand. So where people say like, you know what? Excuse my French, but like this has got some ass to it. And you really have like it fits in your hand extremely well, and then you can hold it in multiple different positions without sacrificing like the grip you have on your knife. So whether you're going like specifically down a fish and away from your body, or turning the blade back and coming back towards your body, like you can hold it in different ways that the grip allows you to do that, where some don't give you that option. You can only hold it one way. Or some are just more like very unbalanced, and it's just you're basically just holding onto a piece of rubber. So that's kind of where the grip design came from.
Yeah, the blades are definitely ergonomic. I mean, any way you touch it and move it, it's a perfect feel. It truly is. Now we have more than what it was in the beginning. Now there's more to this. What lengths do the blades come in now?
So we have just came out with a few new products. So we now range from a 5-inch knife all the way up to a 9-inch. So we do a 5-inch utility knife, which is just a little tank of a knife. And then we do a 7-inch medium flex and a 7-inch flexi, which is our new blade. And then we also do a 9-inch and a 9-inch flexi, along with the 9-inch serrated as well.
What made you want to go to the flexi?
So the flexi, we had a lot of requests for a flexier blade from all types of people, offshore guys, inshore guys. Didn't matter where they were fishing. Some people like more flex to be able to get down on that skin and go through a little bit easier and really shape the blade to the fish. And that 9-inch flexi is personally my favorite knife so far, and it's got an incredible feel to it.
What is the need for a flexible blade? I mean, the beginning was a pretty stout, and I still have version 1. I love that one. But why flexi though?
Yeah, so really when it comes to a fillet knife, it all comes down to your personal preference. And the one thing that some people love is if you're going through the rib cage of a fish, right? your knife is flexing within that rib cage as you are pushing down and then pushing through, and then you're basically flipping the fillet from the tail off onto the cutting board, and then you're pushing down again onto the skin and pushing through the rest of the fillet so that you can flip the fillet off, flip the fish around, and do it all again. So personally, I love having a stiffer knife because most of the fish that I clean are your tunas, your mahis, your wahoos, and for me, it's like I just want to like get through it. Where I think some people with flex shear knives are actually they're a little more precise. But if I'm cleaning a mess of fish, I really want to get through those really well. But I also am very blessed because I have an arsenal, so I can use whatever the situation calls for. And but I love, so if we have a massive red snapper, right? And we basically, I'll use like a serrated blade to get through the first cut and get the actual fillet off the fish. And then I'll pass it on to a buddy of mine who has a 9-inch flexible blade. And he is actually pushing down onto the cutting board, and that knife will flex all the way flat. And you can get it straight through the fillet by separating the skin from the meat. And that is a giant positive of having a flex blade. But when it comes to just picking a single blade, it will all boil down to like, hey, what is your personal preference? And you know what? If you don't know what your personal preference is, you can't go wrong with either or. You may find one you like more than the other, but if you don't clean, a couple 100 pounds of fish every year, you're probably going to be very satisfied with whichever route you decide to go.
I would say you definitely get a lot when taking the fillet off the skin. I've noticed like there's way less skin on any of my fillets using that the 9-inch flexi blade.
Nice. Okay. With that one, because you brought it up, the serrated. Why did SORD come up with a serrated blade?
So there's a little niche of anglers who live down in a town called Venice, Louisiana. And if you visit Venice, Louisiana at about 3 or 4 o'clock p.m. after every charter boat has hit the dock, you will see only serrated blades on those tables, cleaning tunas, cleaning wahoo, cleaning swordfish. Like those guys down there clean more fish than anybody that I know, and they all use serrated blades. Now, don't make me be the guy that tells you this is the only way to do it. But if you have never used a serrated blade while cleaning a big fish, just grab one, use it for yourself. I know there's going to be skeptics out there that say like, no, I can never see myself doing that. Use one for yourself, and you're going to open up this whole new world that you had never realized before. And I know that the serrated blade has a place in like on my cleaning bucket, but it was specifically made for those guys down in Venice, Louisiana. But I will say they're onto something, and they know what works and what doesn't, because they got to clean a bunch of fish every single time they come back to the dock.
And you brought it up before. The serrated blade does not it doesn't score the meat. It doesn't tear. It's just a very good tool.
Yeah. So one of our highlights of our serrated blade is we actually left one side of the blade flat still, and we only put scallops in one side of it. What that allows you to do is the teeth really tear through the skin, and then when you can go through a backbone and go clean through, it doesn't leave scallop marks in your meat. Because of having that flat edge on the bottom, it still leaves a really, really clean cut. And you can't even tell that a fish was cleaned with a serrated blade rather than the normal one. So if you just hide it over in the corner, you'll be fine.
See, there you go. There's the method behind the madness. Well done, guys. Well done.
And a lot of people ask about sharpening those serrated blades. There's a company called DMT, and they make these little, they look like toothpicks. They're little diamond rods, and you just run them through each serration a couple of times, and that'll sharpen it back up for you. I say it's called DMT. It's DMT.
T. Got it. Okay. DMT. I put DMC, so there we go. So my blade, full disclosure, my sharpener, the one that I got, actually has the diamond in it for the final buffering. And one of the big things it runs out is, and I'm not going to say the name because we're not going to do that. You already named that one. We don't need to name the other one. It totes very heavily for serrated. And I've run the old bread knife, the monster one there that you can only hope doesn't smash your bread as you freaking cut across it. I ran that through, but I've also run my work serrated blades through it where I'm cutting through wires and stuff, doing my RV job and all that, my real world stuff that I wasn't wanting to do, but here we are. Run that through it. Cleans it, sharpens it. It's been one of my greatest ones. It is extremely dangerous. So you have to be careful when you sharpen them with diamond. The new blade, let's talk about that one real quick. The utility blade. Now you said workaholic. It's that new one. Tell me about it.
Well, it's a tank of a blade. It's very, very stout. It's a stout little blade. Doesn't have much to any flex in it. And we actually got my buddy Devin. He's working up at a fish market right now, and it really is a utility knife. You can use it for cleaning 1,000 pounds of grouper over 2 days, and then it'll still come home and clean a redfish as well. So it's something else.
Yeah, good blade to clear in red. We all know that's tough armor on the easy stuff.
Yes, sir.
It's also great though, because if you're a guy that likes to put something on your belt, it's not like a 9-inch blade. It's that little 5-inch knife, so it's not bulky, and it's great for cutting up your Fishbites, your Fishgum, or just breaking it out quick, cutting your line. It's just a really versatile blade. And a lot of the events that we go to, a lot of people ask about, do you have any kind of hunting knife? And a lot of the guys that are into hunting have purchased some for gutting pigs and, skinning deer. So it's been great for that community as well.
Nice way to go, crossing the streams into the other worlds. Nice stuff. All right, I'm going to speed it up here to get you out of here because I just looked at the time. I was like, oh, we've been after this. Your SORD is also making other products, one of them being the pliers that just came out not too long ago, the titanium pliers. Tell me about those, but what got you to make a pair?
You see there's just more of an opportunity in the market of a high-end pair of pliers that the company still stands behind, and it's built with the intentions of servicing towards the customer, because there's a lot of high-end pliers in the market right now that you can't even get a hold of the customer service department. And that's an issue when you buy a plier that's over $300. So what for us is when we think of people who are absolutely crazy about fishing, most of these guys need a pair of pliers that are going to hold up to abuse, but they also can't wait 2 months to get a new pair of cutters. And so we were like, hey, here's a huge opportunity for us, and why don't we go ahead and seize that opportunity? And so we built those titanium pliers. But I'm going to let you guys in on a little bit of secret. There's actually a new, smaller pair of pliers that has been completely redesigned, and they are just absolutely smack dead gorgeous. And I hate to even say it because we're cannibalizing ourselves, but the new pliers are so freaking bad that they're gonna blow the current ones out of the water, and they're gonna blow everybody else out of the water too. So for when this podcast blows up, I'm stating it right here. All you other executives at the bigger companies, we're coming for you. So we're going to stomp on your margins a little bit, and it's going to hurt.
They really are the best looking. I mean, we're obviously biased, but they're the best looking pliers I've ever seen.
You can be biased all you want. You've seen them. You know the work. I mean, if the people on the team look at them and know that they're good, and you know they're using the product, that tells you something. If they want to use it, that says it.
I saw them and I thought, like, these are going to change the game.
Yeah.
Like,
Me and
for
Connor
sure.
got a picture of him on a car ride home from one of the tournaments, and both of us just looked at each other like, oh, so excited about it.
Did the text go around like, when are we getting these? When do I get mine? Was that the next set?
Yeah.
That's right.
Smart. Very smart. All right. So I think that kind of answers this question, but I'll ask it. Is there any other gear or products that SORD is involved in making or running with right now?
Yeah, there's a local company here in Destin called Bensic, and we're working on a little dive knife with them. So hopefully in the fall should be ready. We brought it by the shop maybe a month ago, and they really like that. And then we just got some new hoodies in that should be ready to go come this fall, and they're looking really good.
Get the apparel game, apparel game, fishing game, product game. Oh man, getting big, getting good.
We're gonna get everywhere. So just keep your eyes out. We're gonna be that 10-year overnight success where everybody asks, "Oh, they came out of nowhere," and I'm gonna be like, "Did y'all listen to Demo's podcast?"
Oh yeah, look at that! Well, look at that cross move there. You're too kind. You're too kind. Although I am excited when this drops, because it's like, yeah, there are still people which don't know about the SORD brand, which I'm still kind of like, how do you not know? I mean, all of us have the gear. We're wearing it. We have it. I mean, I have the couple of shirts that I picked up from the guys when I bought them from you guys at Emerald Coast Bait and Tackle. And it's like, oh, what's SORD? What do you mean with SORD? How do you not know? Like, oh, come here. Let me show you this awesome tool I have. It's great. It kind of becomes that fun little exciting kid at Christmas. Like, come look. So knowing that you're going to all the new stuff that's coming out, there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to be stellar, top-notch, and last a lifetime. I mean, the best thing I can ever say to that is thank you for making a product that all of us, we know, will use for that. It's not going to be that use and like, oh, well, there it goes, and throw it away. It's going to be that one that you're buying something for a reason, and it's going to be a tool that lasts you. So that speaks volumes about how your business model is and how you care about the local fishermen and, well, the fishing industry in general. So kudos. All right, last two questions, and we'll get you guys out of here. What do you wish a new angler would do before ever getting a line in the water?
Better be patient. Depends on where you're coming from. Like, I started in freshwater and transitioned into saltwater, and that's pretty much all I do now. But I mean, the same rules apply, but there's some differences. You throw a live bait out, you're going to catch a fish, but I didn't really, it took me a while to really figure out fishing the bay and, going out to the beach, fishing the surf. So patience is definitely key. If you watch on TV or YouTube or whatever you're, viewing, it's not all like pulling up on a spot and just ripping out fish every day. I mean, that just doesn't always happen like that. So you're going to have some days where you're heading home empty-handed and you spent 8 hours just telling yourself, I'm not leaving until I catch a fish, but it's going to happen. So
I'd also say, don't be afraid to go into your local tackle shops and ask around. People love to talk about fishing. I know it might be a little bit intimidating to go in when you don't know much about a subject, but go in, and those guys in the tackle shops, that's what they're there for. They love to help people out. Like, I had so many friends at tackle shops where we're just in constant contact talking about what's biting and what are they eating, and you really get into the vibe of going into a tackle shop and just being able to gather so much information from all these guys who are constantly around it.
Steven.
And I want to say, if you're anybody that's getting directly into fishing, like, my greatest advice is to pick something that you would really like to catch and focus on that one fish. Because what's going to happen is, like, if you decide to focus on every fish and just whatever bites your hook, probably nothing is going to bite your hook. So but there's a lot of reward in searching for a specific fish and learning exactly how to catch that one fish, and then move on to something bigger. Like, if you want to learn how to catch whiting first, say like, hey, you know what? I am going to target whiting today, and just throw a little piece of shrimp out. Don't throw it too far. Throw it in the first trough.
Yep.
And then it's something. And once you catch your whitey, then you know what? Figure out how to catch your pompano, and then figure out how to catch your redfish. Because one day you're going to get to a point where like you can catch all three. But if you set unrealistic expectations, like what you see on Instagram of everybody's glory days and everyone on the fish, right? But you know what? Those are pictures from 3 months ago. Like, unfollow that guy. Yeah. And so I just say, like, pick one fish and target them and find out how to catch it, and then, move on. Go to your tackle shop, be patient. But if you walk into a tackle shop and you say, I want to catch it all, I'll catch anything. Like, you guys are just going to tell you, go throw a shrimp out and catch a catfish. But, like, you're like, I don't want to catch a catfish. But, like, say, like, I want to start with whiting, I want to work up to a redfish, and I also want to get a pompano, and then after that, a big black drum. And so just start working through all that right now, and then you'll be really successful.
I'm not going to bring. Yeah, know what? We're going to. Did you catch a black drum yesterday?
I didn't.
All right.
When we changed the time for the call, Brian called me. It was like 10 o'clock at night, and I was like walking like the little seawall. There's this huge drum cruising, and I didn't have like any crab, and I'm like, oh, spent way too much time out there. Got nothing.
I get it. Sadly, I get it. Been there. We've all been there. That's for sure. All right. The final question. What's next for SORD?
World domination.
The exact same thing that popped in my head.
Yeah,
What are we going to do today? With the same thing we do every day. Try to take over the world. That's copyrighted by another company. Sorry, don't sue me. I'm not that character, nor am I associated with them in any way, shape, or form. Sorry, as I digress. World domination, I love it. SORD's going to be in every shop around the country and the world. All right, I'm not sad. I'm not even a little. Yes, I want that. I want that for you, especially.
All right. We appreciate you guys having us on this podcast, and hopefully this is giving you a good listen.
Oh, you guys have dropped a ton of knowledge, and I appreciate it. I mean, everything from talking about with the setup for the fishing and how to do it, that's always key, and that's the big one for people for learning. He dropped a great nuke of knowledge for that one, especially in the close part that people hadn't hit yet. But with that also, how great your product really is. And I know you're not embellishing. You guys are close to the boat, but I am also a SORD user. I am also a customer. I have happily purchased my gear. I have not had it sent to me. I have purchased my gear, and I use it, and I love my gear. I happily tell people all the time it's one of the best products I've used. And when I go to other places, I've been to the east coast of Florida, done fishing tournaments there, and I've shown them, like, you ever seen this? I'm like, no, what is it? I'm like, yeah, check that out. And everybody's first comment's always the handle, like, ooh, like, it gets better. It gets better. Trust me. Just let's cut a fish. You're going to love it. So thank you guys for making a great product and being a very pro angler company, not just in it to rake in the dollars. You guys are very much, you can see it in your faces, how you talk about the business, but also in your product itself. You are 100% pro angler and want people to succeed. So thank you for doing all the things you guys do.
Thanks for having us on, man.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Like, all right. So
It
what?
took a long time to get here. We kept talking about it, but I'm glad we got it in.
Well, we just had to find a way to get all four of us in the same place at the same time. This worked out well. All right, guys, we will talk to you again soon. So thank you again for being here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I hope you enjoyed this episode with SORD. If you need to find their stuff, you can find it on their webpage at swordfishingproducts.com. You can find them on all social media platforms of Facebook, Insta. I think they're even on TikTok, if I'm not mistaken. I think I saw a video. So go take a look at all that. If you have questions, reach right out to them. They're very quick to respond. If you have a problem with your product, don't keep it in. Get with them. They have a lifetime warranty for a reason. They've explained it in this episode, and it's important for you to make sure your gear is taken care of, and they will help you out. So thank you for sticking around for this episode. If it helped you, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, get that information out there. It's going to help somebody to become a better angler. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you. We'll see you next week. You've been listening to Find a Demo Surf Fishing. I'm out of here.